everyone. Welcome to Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Jeff McNutt, Community Director here at the Center, and we are thrilled that you've chosen to join us either on Facebook Live or on YouTube. Either of those applications have chat feeds, and we encourage you to chat to your heart's content, both as a way to build community, and later in the service we'll be asking you a couple of questions to weigh in on as well. So we'd love to hear from you. If you're new to this service, there's also a link in the app, in the viewing app that you're watching on, and we'll also embed that in the chat feed. And if you want to just fill out some information and how and what kind of way we can connect with you, we would love to do that as well. To give you a little understanding of what we do here, I'd like to have you join me in taking a look at our mission statement. At Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living, we are love in action, transforming lives, transforming communities. We have a great service for you today, and you'll see that love in action, and hopefully it'll inspire you in some way. The service today is all about feeling Spirit within you. It's Spirit in Me 2.0, and a wonderful message from Reverend Amani, and you'll be checking in with several members of our community along the way, and there's wonderful music. So we are really excited that you've chosen to join us. We're going to start by lighting a candle as we do each week. Today I wanted to light it in honor of the life of Thich Nhat Hanh. Thich Nhat Hanh is a Vietnamese Buddhist monk and just an amazing teacher of a lot of the philosophy that we espouse here, especially feeling the Spirit within you and knowing your divine nature and expressing that as peace. So today we light a candle sending love to Thich Nhat Hanh. Welcome and enjoy the service.
Hello, my beloveds. My name is Clarissa Crow, and I'm a practitioner here at the Center. Please join me in our invocation. We open our hearts and our minds right now and allow ourselves to be flooded with the awareness of divine truth, goodness, oneness, wholeness, peace, joy, beauty, love. We recognize this divine truth as our truth. These qualities of God make up the very essence of who we each are. And so I know that we already have everything we need. By virtue of being alive, we are infinitely sourced by the infinite itself. Nothing is missing, nothing is lacking. Divine strength, divine clarity, divine wisdom, divine creativity is ours now. Realizing this, I also realize that we are each divinely guided to be of service in the world in our own unique way. And I know that as we answer that call, as we faithfully follow that guidance, that we are safe, we are protected, we are held in God's loving embrace. We are connected to the one source of all. This one goes before us and makes the way clear and smooth, and fills us with joy and inspiration at every turn. What a wondrous thing to be alive, to be endowed with the creative power of life itself, to know that we are enough. We are more than enough, that we truly make a difference with our love, and that when we come together in community, an even brighter light shines forth into the world. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So I just celebrate the unique perfection of each person watching right now and of the Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living community. And so it is. So I have a reading for you this morning from our beloved Rumi. And after I read it, I'm going to read a little breakdown of it that I wrote. There are some words in this translation that might rub some of us the wrong way a little bit, so I just took the liberty to break it down what I believe it's saying. Lose yourself. Lose yourself in this love. When you lose yourself in this love, you will find everything. Lose yourself. Lose yourself. Do not fear this loss, for you will rise from the earth and embrace the endless heavens. Lose yourself. Lose yourself at the foot of the glorious King. When you lose yourself before the King, you will become the King. Lose yourself. Lose yourself. Escape from the black cloud that surrounds you. Then you will see your own light as radiant as the full moon. Now, enter that silence. This is the surest way to lose yourself. What is your life about anyway? Nothing but a struggle to be someone. Nothing but a running away from your own silence. So why would we want to lose ourselves when the whole point is to love ourselves? The self that we lose is the small self. The ideas of ourselves that we've adopted over the years that are untrue. The beliefs that tell us we're not enough. This is what we joyfully lose. And who is the glorious King? The glorious King or Queen is your divine self. When I give myself over to my own soul, what I lose is any sense of lack or limitation, and what I gain is everything. We escape the black cloud of doubt and fear and unworthiness when we allow ourselves to fall head over feet in love with the perfect, precious, magnificent expression of God that we are. Look into the eyes of the tiny, innocent, beautiful infant that you once were. An embodiment of pure love, deserving of all good things. You are still that tiny baby, perfect just as you are. The silence is what remains when we let go of the stories. The stories about what must be accomplished or what must be fixed, and just bask in the glory of our perfect right to simply be the unique and wonderful creation that we are. So let's just take a few moments right now to simply be. To easily and naturally connect to the divine within us. This is actually the simplest and most natural thing we can do, because it doesn't require that we do anything. Just for a moment, we are going to let go of the idea that connecting to the divine is some sort of challenging or complicated thing. The truth is that love is. There is nothing you have to visualize, nothing you have to read or study, no particular way that you have to breathe. no magical incantation to recite. You don't have to be relaxed or comfortable. You don't have to quiet your mind. Just allow yourself to be exactly where you are, to feel exactly what you're feeling right now. Love simply is. And so it is.
I am the light of my soul. I am beautiful. I am bountiful. I am bliss. I am, I am. I am the light of my soul. I am beautiful. I am bountiful. I am bliss. I am, I am. I am the light of my soul. I am beautiful. I am bountiful. I am bliss. I am, I am. I am the light of my soul. I am beautiful. I am bountiful. I am bliss. I am, I am.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our beautiful service here at the Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living, our virtual sanctuary. I'm so glad you're here to join us, and I'm so glad to be able to share some things with you today. I'm going to go ahead and read our questions, which are in regard to our Spirit in Me theme for today. I'll go ahead and read the first question to you and tell you what I think. First question is, share a time that you have felt the divine within you. So when I think about this question, the divine in me, the only thing that comes to mind is when I feel like God is speaking to me in my head, or there's a giant sign or something that I think, oh, this is me. And I made an agreement with the divine some time ago, which is going to sound funny, but I made an agreement that every time my favorite number would show up, I would know I was on the right track. And I did that for a really long time until my favorite number was showing up when I thought things really weren't for me. So then I switched it to my initials. Every time I saw my initials, then I knew I was on the right track. And I used that for a really long time as well. But then there's a business in town that has my initials on it, MCS. And so I would see it all the time. And then the guy up the street owns a truck that he works for the company. So I see it every day. So I thought, I got to come up with something else. So currently what I use is my birth date. When I see my birth date, then I feel like the divine is speaking to me. So if I see my whole birth date somewhere, I feel like I've been spoken to somehow. So that's what I do. Kind of funny, but that's what I do. I'm going to go ahead and read the second question to you. That is, what are ways you connect with the divine in your own being? And what comes to mind with this question is many years ago in a meditation class, we learned a meditation where we could call on the divine in a form, in some kind of form, and not the white bearded guy in the sky, but whatever form came to us in the meditation. And in my meditation, what came to me is a big, fluffy, like almost like the Michelin Man, but there aren't any distinguishing, like there's no eyes or nose or mouth or anything, but it's a big, squishy, warm, light-filled, white form that I can sit in its lap, or whatever I call its lap, and I can be held by it and encompassed by it to where I feel completely surrounded by the divine. So if I'm experiencing something that's very uncomfortable for me, I often close my eyes and I go into what I call the lap of the divine, and I am held in warmth, and it's like super warm and super cozy and squishy, and it's just beautiful. So that's my sense of it. So that's what I do in my practice. That's really helped me. So those are my two things. If you do have an answer to those questions, we'd like you to put it in the chat. We'd love to hear what you think. So go ahead and put anything that comes to your mind so that we can share it with each other and know your thoughts. Right now, I'm super excited to introduce you to someone that you may not know. Her name is Nima Pickett, and she is just a beautiful, light-filled, gorgeous being. She's really a great dresser, too, and always has amazing earrings. So she's going to go ahead and share some information with us, some thoughts with us. So go ahead, beautiful.
Greetings. Hey, Maddie. I wanted to start with giving a Thanksgiving statement and just being grateful for life. My name is Ni'ima Kamaria Hanifa, for those who don't know me. And I'm going to be really open in my sharing today, so maybe you'll know me a little bit better. The quote or the reading that came to me is one from 1 John 4:18. And the sacred scripture reads, "There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear." Our vessels are created for this journey, this Middle Earth passage that we all voyage on together in the spirit, in the flesh, in the mind. And when you sit in that sacred space, in the space or the seat or the cradle of illness or darkness, and the space of really having to deep breathe and bring life and vitality back into the wildest soul imagination of who you can be, regardless of if you're in a bed, if you're in a chair, if you're in a walker, and your mobility is shifted into a space that is more powerful in the place of the mind. And so in my own personal journey, I'm just recovering from COVID-19. And I recently was able to just see our president and what his mindset has been through his own personal journey, which each being and vessel, we're all on a personal journey. And so I really, truly do want to honor whatever that looks like. And the courage in what a fight becomes for life. We have two varying experiences with having the same illness. And many times people say, well, you should get up and be right back at it. And other times you have to gradually move back into the space of being well and wellness and what that looks like. And so in my time, the first 4 days of my struggle was very dark and very deep and very close to asking the Creator why I was still being given this gift of life, because life truly is, it's a gift, it's a blessing that someone or some being has bestowed upon you. And I asked myself the question in that time, in my storm, my difficulty, my struggle, what reason I still had to have the desire, with all of the things happening in the world, to get up and to participate in this journey of life. And what came to me is that there is no perfect storm. And when I say that, what I mean is that there is no way you can ever prepare for the onset of a perfect storm that says, okay, well, it's going to rain in this order, and then the hail will come, and then the winds. The storm is going to do what it likes, and you've got to be able to navigate the troubled waters. And I find myself in a place of questioning my own anger, my own frustration, at a time such as this, when lives are being lost, and people who are painted in the same hue as skin as myself, and think about those men, my father and my brothers, and my love, and all of those types of things, and the beauty that walks in the world as who we are as a people. And when I'm watching truly this nation rise up in a way that I've never seen before, fearlessly in love. And the only perfect love will drive out the fear. And so when we watch the youth and watch our elders on the front line of what we consider to be tragedy or despair or anger, that it too is perfect. In my moments of truly deepening into my own practice of meditation, which I do strongly believe in meditation, and I was not able to be on the beach, I thought, with my own auntie and how much I love her, and during the time that I was recovering, I imagined myself in the ocean at the water's edge, just floating, and what it felt like to be supported completely by this divinity of the all, and creation and creator, and looking up at the sky and taking those deep breaths into my lungs that desperately need oxygen to fight this illness, and how it felt to receive each breath in pain, because it felt like such a crushing, indescribable pain that was moving through my chest to take in breath, but that through even that process, my body was still receiving oxygen and life and vitality, and I celebrated and thanked my Creator for this design of a body that still can wage war even when our cells are compromised. I ask you the question, who are you during the hardest time of your life? I recently have experienced a deep connection with women who have great losses, and what that experience has been like connecting in the Zoom type of an environment, which, feels a bit artificial at times, but women who have experienced great loss. And one of the conversations that we had recently is about Diamond, who lost Philandro Castro to being murdered by the police in his car with the child present and with his love, who is still here on the planet Earth, Miss Diamond. And through her agony, the most painful experience of her life, watching the murder of her beloved, she was able to work through her fear in love to basically do the most powerful thing that she could have done in that moment, which was to hold on and record every moment of what she was experiencing and what he experienced and what that child experienced, so that she could continue the work of saying this should never happen. And she did so fearlessly. So as I laid in my bed recovering and thought about the fearlessness of approaching that question, and I thought about while I lived abroad in China and losing the love of my life to malaria, and he was only 31 years old, and I thought about how I would explain to my child that she would never again experience seeing her father on this earth. And so I understand how Diamond felt, talking to her daughter about this loss that she watched and experienced. And considering something so small as a little mosquito, and how that mosquito could plant something into his system, which ultimately transitioned his life. So as I laid in my bed at rest and in peace with each tragic breath, I considered why I had been left on the planet Earth and not transitioned through an illness that does take life. Who are we in these moments? There's a fearlessness in the quiet, in the midst of a storm, at the center of the eye of the storm. And in that center, one must ask themselves, what does your heart ache for? What does your heart ache for? What is your desire? What is your longing? So I ask you today to receive this gift that God, Yahweh, the Most High, Creator, whatever you choose to call that presence of divine love and light. A gift is given, and we open that box and we receive whatever that is. And sometimes you look at a gift and think, that's not the gift I desired. But truthfully speaking, this gift of life, you are able to decide and claim every day what your joy in this gift is. My joy in this life is to move and to dance through each storm, each trial, each tribulation with joy in my heart, in my spirit, in my soul. And so I share that joy with you today. I want to leave you with one final question. Who will you be in the perfect storm of life? Love and light. Namaste. Peace and blessings.
Thank you, Nima. You are just such a beautiful soul, and I thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us today. Thank you. And I want to thank all of you for all that you've done for us at the center, all you've done to give back to your community for us to end poverty in Albuquerque and to have classes and spirit groups and services Thank you so much for all that you've given. There's a couple ways you can give. You can text to give, and that number should be on your screen. You can do a one-time gift, or you can do a recurring gift. You can also donate on the website, abqcsl.org. And again, if you give us a monthly gift, then that way we can set up our future finances and we know how much money we have to work with and how much we have to give. So we thank you so much for everything, and we appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and read the affirmation that was written by Paul Cuffey. Spirit is the source of my abundance. Divinity is manifesting within me the full awareness of my unity with the One, with my community, and with life. Love is my abundance. Ashe, Aho, Eacs, Amen, and so it is.
Last night I had the strangest dream. I wrote most of the song you're gonna hear in my sleep. The message was crystal clear, and the melody came from a place in me, mysterious and yet so real. And it goes like this. Shining up my Sunday shoes, I'm getting ready for God. I'm paying up my earthly dues, I'm getting ready for God. The path of faith is what I choose, I'm getting ready for God. And I know where to go, Spirit tells me so. Yes, I know where to go, Spirit tells me so. I'm throwing down my sword and shield, I'm getting ready for God. A banner of peace is what I yield, I'm getting ready for God. Like a willow in the wind I yield, I'm getting ready for God. And I know where to go, Spirit tells me so. Yes, I know where to go, Spirit tells me so. The greatest gift that we can give is that love that starts from within. First we must learn to love ourselves, and then that love spills out and touches everybody else, touches everybody else. The greatest gift that we can give is that love that starts from within. First we must learn to love ourselves, and then that love spills out and touches everybody else. I'm opening up my heart to love, I'm getting ready for God. Receiving gifts from all around, I'm getting ready for God. Each step I take is on sacred ground, I'm getting ready for God. And I know where to go, Spirit tells me so. Yes, I know where to go, Spirit tells me so. Yes, I know where to go, Spirit tells me so. Yes, I know where to go, Spirit tells me.
A monk walks down the road, walking, and hears out behind his walking, galloping of a horse. And the horse is going hard, and as the horse comes up behind the monk, suddenly the monk is stepping to the side and is like, yo, to the dude on the horse, where you going? And the dude on the horse says, I don't know, ask the horse. Where are you going? And what is driving you? That is what we're going to be looking at today. What is your mind, your conscious and unconscious, subconscious mind, driving you towards? What has got you driving towards some possible future that you may not even be aware of because you and I may have not done the unpacking of what is ours to do and what is actually driving us. And so I ask you, what's driving you? What's the name of the horse you're riding on? Is the horse you're riding on called separation? Is the horse you're riding on called lack and not enoughness? What drives us? It makes all the difference in the lives that we are co-creating together. And we've got to answer these questions. From the Dynamo, Kat Kim. She says, nonconformist spirituality, as opposed to consumer spirituality, calls for a radical shift in our collective consciousness, to move away from the myth of scarcity and separation towards the divine truth of sufficiency and oneness. The divine truth of sufficiency and oneness. This is the horse. When we ride on this idea, when we allow this truth to be the driving force of our activity in life, we are now deepening our consciousness, our awareness, and our ability to be the realization of spirit right here on this planet. But often, we allow these toxic ideas that have been given to us through a consumer culture, that have been given to us through capitalism by any means necessary, when we allow these to drive what we think of as enough, what we think of as success, whether we intend to or not, we are now contributing to the mess. And I know that you and I are not here to contribute to the mess. I know that you have no intention of being a mess maker. And yet we do. And so now the work becomes rebelling against what we've been handed. And one of the ways we do that isn't just by wearing cute shirts that say love, isn't just by putting another hashtag on our social media accounts or getting a bumper sticker for our cars. It's by doing the inner work of recognizing what is actually driving us. What are those fears and misbeliefs, those misunderstandings that we may have been handed, that we may have inherited, that we may have made up on our own? But we must be willing to do that inner work of recognizing what horse we're riding on. And then retraining the horse, retraining our minds, retraining the greatest power we have as spiritual beings to co-create life with spirit. We must retrain what's going on in there so that we can intentionally, wholly reveal the sufficiency and oneness that is the truth of spirit. And that revelation comes through our inner work, through our removing what must be removed so that the truth can be more revealed. And I offer that these are not unspiritual ideas. Dismantling white supremacy, which came into being to support toxic capitalism, that idea is out of alignment with the truth of who we are. And that idea came into being from a place of fear And what comes into being through the thinking mind of humans can be rethought. What comes into being from a misunderstanding, a misbelief, can be undone. If we make it up, we can make it up new. So let us do that. Let us not make the mistake of falling into the traps that a consumer spirituality offers, right? It offers that quick fix. It offers that, ooh, that feels good for a moment. And as Catherine McGill said last month, let's be more than a moment. Let's be a movement. Let's be a movement that wants to reveal liberation and freedom and love for all. But it begins right here and right here. It begins with doing the honest observation of our own thoughts and motivations. Are we identified with this cultural idea of success? Do we believe that our enoughness is based upon how big our this is and how shiny our that is, and do we have the latest da? Or is it based on how deeply grounded am I in the seat of love? How able am I to keep my presence about me out in the world? How's my practice? How is my communion with what is true and my willingness to let that drive me, even if it makes me appear to be rebelling against the common norms? Norms only become norms because we say they are norms. What if we say it's time for some new norms? What if we allow the impulse of love in our own being, that is spirit moving in and out and through us, give us the divine idea of a new normal? What I'm asking you to do right now is take a look in there. Take a look in here. And ask yourself, what's driving me? Am I so afraid of not fitting in? Am I so afraid of feeling like I don't belong that I am willing to get a feeling of success, of belonging, of mattering by any means necessary? No matter what systems of oppression I may be contributing to. And I know that's not the conscious idea. I know that we're not walking around going, oh, I'm going to go ahead and do X, Y, and Z, and I know it's going to oppress this whole slew of people over here. Or, I just got to have that shiny thing because it's going to make me feel like I matter. Even though I know there's a whole bunch of kids in a sweatshop somewhere being mistreated as a result of my purchase. These are spiritual questions. These are not just social justice questions. These are spiritual questions. Because who we are being as spiritual beings on this planet is no different than who we are being as socially aware human beings on this planet. They are not two separate questions or ideas or considerations. We can no longer hide in this idea that I am a spiritual being and what is mine to do is to sit on my cushion and om. No. What is ours to do is to integrate these concepts and these ideas and these theories and these beautiful spiritual principles and the laws into our beings. Christian mystic and contemplative monk Thomas Merton says, at the center of our being is a point of nothingness, which is untouched by sin and by illusion. a point of pure truth, a point or spark which belongs entirely to God. It is in everybody. And if we could see it, we could see these billions points of light coming together in the face and blaze of a sun that would make all the darkness and cruelty of life vanish completely. There is a divinity in you that when lightened up, when embodied, is the very light, is the very substance of good that you are longing for. There is a point of light that is made up of no thing, that exists in the midst of your being, that was there before you took your first breath and will be there after you take your last. This spark of the divine is what we are doing here. This spark of divine, when brought together with my spark of divine and your spark of divine and your spark of divine and their spark of divine, when that comes together, it is brighter than the blazing sun, and it is what vanishes the cruelty and the suffering present in our material world right here and now. So what happens when that spark of divinity becomes our mark of success? What happens when that inner light, that inner divinity that is beyond language, that is beyond any kind of shiny, pretty thing we could desire, what if that becomes our number one desire? Is accessing and connecting with and being the spark of divine right in the center of our being. And what I know for sure is, just like Thomas Merton said, it is in everybody. There is no one walking this planet, no living creature alive right now that is moving without this spark of divine. And it is the gold we've all been hustling for. It is the end of the rainbow that we think is going to be met in that shiny new thing, in the stuff hanging in our closets, in whatever's in our driveway, the fact that we have a driveway. We think those things are going to satisfy the longing that is in each of us. We think those things are going to satisfy this desire. And for moments, the manifestation practice, it does. Right? When you've prayed and you got the thing, you got the new sweetheart, you got the new car, you got the better job, and you're like, woo, God is good. And God is good all the time. But that's a moment. It is not the movement of love. And when we use the tools we've been given to connect with the divine spark that is within us for the purpose of the connection itself, for the recognition that there is a divinity that is beyond words, brighter than the sun, living in me, living in you. That is what this whole idea is about. We aren't nonconformists because we just like being the hipster, cutting-edge, cool folks. We aren't rebelling against societal norms that are false because we want to be do-gooders. We must rebel against systemic racism and toxic capitalism and consumerism that is the machine that allows white supremacy. We don't rebel against that because we're just good spiritual people and we must because it's wrong. We rebel against those ideas and those norms because they are out of alignment with what is true. And when we choose to investigate and fall in love with the truth of who we are, the natural result of that is rebellion. The natural result of that is we are now moved by love's impulse, by God's impulse that lives in us. And those movements couldn't possibly support systems that diminish and limit others. That's why. I'm going to come back to Thomas Merton. He says that this spark of light that is in everybody, if we could see it, we would see these billions of points of light coming together in the face and blaze of a sun that would make all the darkness and cruelty of life vanish completely. What I'm not saying is that sitting on your meditation cushion, doing your daily prayer practice is all there is. What I'm saying is it must begin there. You know, we teach here the pathway or the journey of spiritual development, of spiritual transformation. And the first step on that path is recognizing the Spirit dwelling in you. But it's step one, my friends. There are steps to come. But in this step one, we must understand that when we say yes to that indwelling Spirit, to that indwelling divinity and intelligence that is the mind of God itself, that is in our mind, when we say yes to that, when we say, yes, I am now going to consciously commune with what is true in me, we must then be willing to let go of all that is in the way of that. And I believe that is part of the process, that the light that we are vanishes the cruelty and the darkness in the world. Yes, it does. But there's a process that happens in that. And as we individually choose to begin to move out of the way what is untrue, that very moving away is how some of that cruelty and darkness vanishes. It's because we choose to do the work of removing it in us. Richard Rohr, from his publication True Self, False Self, says, when you've gotten too comfortable with your separate self and you call it life, you will get trapped at that level. You will hold on to it for dear life because you believe that's the only life you have. I'm going to say it again. When you've gotten too comfortable with your separate self and call it life, you will get trapped at that level. You will hold on to it for dear life because you think it's the only life you have. Think about that for a minute. I want you to think about the times where you've been so afraid of losing something in your life. When you've been so afraid of not getting something in your life. And just take a moment right now and breathe into one of those times where you've just been terrified I'm going to lose this relationship. I'm going to lose this job. I'm going to lose this house. I'm not going to get that job. I'm not going to get the approval on the mortgage. Whatever has been terrifying to you in a moment, really let yourself feel that for a minute. And then I want you to think about what you were willing to do in that fear-based place to have it, to not lose it. What lengths you were willing to go to out of fear. And I know, when I ask myself that question, I know that there are behaviors in me that could come right from this mouth and these hands and these feet that I would never imagine myself capable of. But in that kind of fear, in that kind of terror, because I believe my life depends on it, I could do some heinous shit. And that, my friends, is how the cruelty of the world happens. And we all have it in us. We all have that shadow side, that dark side, that wants to erupt, that wants to take the wheel and be in the driver's seat when we are in deep fear. And like Greg Rohr says, when we have mistaken the material world for the truth, and we get comfortable believing that, we get comfortable thinking if I could just manifest that next cool thing, then everything's going to be all right. And when we get stuck there and we believe it is life, what are we capable of doing in order to protect that? Because I tell you, the answer to that question is all over the globe right now. When we have mistaken what life really is, because we've been handed an idea that is false, that very idea, that very mistake, that very misstep, like the Bible says, that's the true definition of sin, that very misstep is what makes the cruelty possible, is what makes the darkness possible. So then, what makes the light possible? What makes the truth possible? When we undo the mistaken idea that that stuff out there is the most important thing and it defines who I am and what life is. Undoing that, rebelling against that, is what makes way for the light of love to shine from us, as us, through us. But we have to be willing to get uncomfortable, right? Because if we've gotten comfortable in the false idea, it's tough. It's tough letting it go. There's these ideas that go through the world's indigenous traditions and faith traditions around the idea of purification and being burned to nothingness. And actually, if you look at the mystics and some of the shamans of these traditions, it's the ideal, actually. People seek after this experience of being burned to nothing. Yikes! I know it doesn't sound like a lot of fun. Like, why would we sign up to be burned to nothing? Why would we sign up for purification? Purification to me sounds like a, fancy word for suffering and nothing fun. So why are these mystics and these shamans going after it like it is the Holy Grail? Because what I believe is really going on behind this idea that travels the entire globe and the history of humankind that's been written down is this burning up means that on the other side of what gets burned away is the pure gorgeousness and pleasure and joy and beauty of the divine. Starts sounding a little better, this idea of purification, yes? This idea that, oh, if I let burn down all that is untrue in me, the untrue ideas I have of myself, let it burn. The untrue ideas that I have been handed, let it burn. These systems and structures that are there to limit love, let it burn. All of a sudden, being burned to no thing sounds fantastic. All of a sudden, melting away all of the crazy and the thoughts in my own head about what is false about me, about the fact that I have been told or have been given a story that I am not enough, or that I can't fit in because I am brown, or I like to have sex with women. Oh, let it burn. Why don't we follow in the footsteps of these great teachers, of these theologians, of these mystics, of these medicine men and women and shamans, and the wisdom of the ages? Let us follow in their footsteps. And not only allow the burning away, what if we welcomed it? What if we invited it in? Because one of the other truths that have gone through all of the teachings of the ages is that when the metaphor of fire or the story or image of a flame or burning comes in one of these teachings, it always signifies the divine's presence. The burning bush, the fires and rituals, the dancing around fires, all of it means the divine is present in all of those teachings. So what if we looked at the burning away to nothingness, the burning away to the pure light that remains? What if that was a holy act? What if the burning down of societal systems and structures that no longer serve was a holy act? Think about that for a moment. It is much like the birth, death, and rebirth cycle that is the most natural thing in the world. And we will all have that experience. And it's a holy experience. So what if we invited the dismantling of our own consciousness, the dismantling and burning down of any false idea about who we are and what is possible for us? Are you ready to burn and welcome the truth? Welcome the gorgeous, uncostumed version of yourself that is a divine manifestation. The only manifestation that actually matters is the love and the presence that each of us are. So guess what your homework is this week? I'm not going to ask you to set anything on fire, I promise. But what I am going to ask you to do is look no further than yourself and go within and do this following meditation, which I'm going to guide you through right now. So just close your eyes with me, take your gaze inward, and take a breath in and out. And as you inhale, listen to that incoming breath so intently that you can hear in it God's silent, I love you. In this moment, God is flowing into you as the source and reality of your very being. As you exhale, breathe out a silent, I love you, back to God. As you inhale, be aware of the air as being God flowing into you, as the divine gift of your very being. As you exhale, allow your silent, I love you, to be your very being, flowing back into the depths of God. And simply sit, open to God breathing divine love into the depths of your being as you breathe your whole being as a gift of love back into God. And as you do this, I want you to listen. Listen for your own wisdom communicating with you, and listen until it does. As Ernest Holmes says, listen to the stillness until it speaks to you. And while you're listening, I want you to feel your body. Feel all that is happening in your body. And allow this deep listening and feeling to move you into a love affair with your own nature. James Finley, who I've adapted this meditation from the Center of Action and Contemplation, says, this one practice alone, engaged in the heartfelt sincerity and devotion, can awaken you to God's total and complete oneness with you as the giver, the sustainer, and the reality of the sheer miracle of your very being. As this realization of God's oneness with you grows, you will begin to realize how foolish it is to imagine that God is in any way distant from you. You discover how foolish it is to imagine that you could in any way hide from God, who is wholly one with all that is within your mind and heart, your very being. And I'm going to end today with a quote from Shams Tabrizi, Islamic mystic. He says, you can study God through everything and everyone in the universe, because God is not confined in a mosque, synagogue, or church. But if you are still in need of knowing where exactly God's abode is, there's only one place to look for it, in the heart of a true lover. And so if you are ready to say yes to looking right here and right here for God's abode, join me in anchoring this in prayer. What I know that I know that I know, and what I feel, and what I embody, and what I experience as the only truth is there is one love moving through this entire universe and beyond. It is the very power that has brought life into being and continues to move life forward. And I know that that power is present within me, within you, in every moment, always accessible, loving us through every inhale and every exhale, as we say yes and open ourselves to that loving breath, to that loving life, to that loving motion that is in rhythm with all that is and ever has been and ever will be. I say yes to embodying that truth in the center of my own being, and I am grateful for each of your yes. I am grateful for the divine beauty that each of you is and stands in, is rooted in, and breathes out onto this planet. Your presence is good. It is God. And I let it be in all of its beautiful nature. And together let us anchor this by saying, and so it is.
Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry living.